Hello, everyone. My name is Shelby Stutes, and I am the gallery curator at the Walter E. Terhune Art Gallery at Owens Community College. Today, we are having a question and answer session with one of our current exhibiting artists at the Big Read exhibit titled Hiding in Plain Sight, Poverty. So Kent Tarbox is one of our featured artists today, and I have a few questions for him. So thank you so much, Kent, for joining us, and we appreciate you taking the time to talk a little bit about your artwork.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. This is a first for me, so we'll see how it
Don't worry.
goes.
We'll go easy on you, and it'll be just a really nice discussion, and just getting more information about your artwork is what we're really excited about.
Good. Thank you. Yeah, I look forward to it. So
Awesome. So I'll start with my first question. So tell me about your background. How, did you have any career highlights that got you started in photography? Or was it just something that you stumbled upon?
okay. Wow, it goes way back. My grandfather was an amateur hobbyist. I grew up around photography, so it was something comfortable to me. In high school, back in gosh, 70s. It's been a while now. I got a camera and stuff, and in my high school, Foster High School, they had a dark room and a graphic arts place and stuff, and I enjoyed taking pictures. So I think there was something just in my DNA. And to be honest with you, people found out I was taking pictures. So instead of sitting in math class, I was taking pictures of cheerleaders and different things instead of being in class. And I thought, this is nice. I like this. And I was in it for a long time, through the Navy, got out of it for a while, started a family. Our daughter became interested in photography, like a lot of kids do, right?
Right.
High school. Bought her a camera for Christmas. Did the dad thing. We went out, started taking pictures, re-sparked my interest. So I got back into it. And that led to, actually, I've been a freelance contract photographer for the Courier newspaper in Findlay for, close to 20 years now. So
Wow. Goodness.
It's what I do. It's one of those things that it seemed to come naturally. I enjoy it, and we'll get into more about it in the future. Yeah, what's that?
And you get paid for it too. That's what
I do sometimes. Yeah, that's great. When you can take a hobby and monetize it, sometimes that's fun, as long as the hobby doesn't become work.
Yes.
Then that takes a little bit of the fun out of it.
Right. Definitely. And that's what you're doing currently still. That's what your main kind of career path is. And then you do some more photography that you're interested in on the side, or?
Yeah, during the day, my day job is I'm an IT professional.
Oh, wonderful.
And the Courier thing is like, it's my side hustle. It's my Uber.
Yes.
Make a little extra money and enjoy it. And I got to be honest, the photography is one thing. I enjoy sports, so that was good. When I did work on the news side of things, the photojournalism aspect of that was you meet all kinds of people. You're out, like I've photographed the mayor being inaugurated,
right.
Different civic groups. I photographed different meetings, maybe about flood mitigation or whatever. So you get an exposure to a lot of people.
Right.
One of the unexpected things about this was the relationships that you make outside the camera. It's
right.
One thing to take the picture and that, but you start to develop relationships with people, and especially like in sports. When I go to these things, I know referees. I've known them for 15, 20 years now. I know athletic directors and this and this. So that was a kind of a surprising benefit that I really didn't think about occurring until it has.
Right.
So
that's great. And I like what you said about how that adds to your experience, because you're not just, I focus on like nature photography or portrait. It's like you're doing everything, action to, what's going on in the city. And that's got to be really great to help you learn and kind of grow as an artist.
It does. What led me to actually having photos in this exhibit at Terhune was several years ago. I guess we'll just jump into it.
Yeah.
It did become work. And I really do. I have to credit my wife of, gosh, now it'll be 37 years this year.
congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
That's wonderful.
she's very good at looking at me and saying, you know, you need to shoot for yourself. You need to do something, a creative outlet or whatever. So what got me to this point was driving by these places, and we'll get into what my photography is in a minute. I started thinking, wow, those would be great images. So I started making those images. I mean, it was just that simple. It was, you know, get up off the couch and go out and do it. And
Right.
so that's brought us to here now.
Definitely. Yeah. And that's a great segue into, about your photography and, specifically these barns and buildings. You said you saw them on the side of the road and they inspired you, but what kept you going? Why did you continue this series?
Yeah, well, the name of the series, let's say, is Roadkill, which
Yeah.
really interests me. They look at you like it's what, and they think I have actual pictures of roadkill, and I really don't. What I've seemed to be photographing a lot of is abandoned buildings, rundown structures, structures that maybe in their past had great purpose. They were new, they were splendid, they were families lived there, or they housed machinery or something. And there's a certain beauty to the decay. There's patterns. There's, gosh, sometimes when I have to actually think about it, I know it when I see it, I guess.
Right.
And the reason I call them roadkill is I take the pictures from my truck. I don't get out and search these things out. I think we had that conversation, right?
Yes.
I don't go traipsing across fields or things. I stop, I roll down, I make sure there's nobody coming. I stop, I roll down my window, I take a few pictures, and then I move on. And what's kept it going is similar. I've equated to like when people go out and hunt, right?
Yes.
You want to go out, you want to hunt a deer, or you want to hunt something. It's like, okay, what can I find?
Right.
And some days I go out, much like hunting or fishing, I guess, to use that. Some days I don't find anything. You drive and drive and drive, and there's just nothing. And then other days, every corner I turn, I'm like, oh, that's great. Oh, wow, that's great. So, and that aside, it's some alone time. It's some time. It's just me. Me and satellite radio. I like to listen to. I'll have music. It gives me a chance to think.
Right.
Give me a chance to reflect on things. And again, I never know where I'm going to end up. I go out maybe in a general direction,
Right.
say southwest of Findlay, but I really don't know where I'm going to end up.
Right. Oh, but I love that. And I remember when I was reaching out to artists to participate in this exhibit, I was just elated when I saw your images because this exhibit is based off the book Heartland by Sarah Smarsh.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many similarities between Kansas and Ohio. So when I saw your pieces, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this, we need this in this exhibit because of, these are everywhere. They're out in the middle of the landscape. And like you said, this is just kind of some alone time and you encounter these things and you create this beauty out of it. So I was going to ask, I know you told me this story, but if you could repeat it again about how you're taking this one photograph and someone actually came out of one of these buildings.
Yeah, that was interesting because one thing I will not do is I to the best of my knowledge, I've not taken a picture of a house at least that is inhabited.
Right.
Okay, I'm very aware of that, very cautious of that because I don't want to embarrass anybody. I'm not out to do that. I like the abandoned. Okay.
Right.
And there was this one place, and I thought, yeah, boy, there we go. And I had stopped and had the window down in the cab of my truck, and I was started to take a few pictures. And I don't take many, maybe 2, 3, 4 tops. And an individual, a man came out of this house, very upset.
Yeah.
And wondered what I was doing, why I was photographing. And one thing I think people watching this need to understand too, I'm not on main roads.
Right.
I'm out on some pretty backwoods kind of roads, and
Right.
Some of them aren't even paved.
Right.
So I'm sure I aroused this individual's suspicion, and I did. I explained what I was doing. I deleted the photos. I didn't give him a chance to get close, and then I drove on and went about my business. So that was one encounter, and this individual obviously lived, at least in my opinion, in a state of poverty.
Right.
Um, and as you mentioned, the similarities between Ohio and Kansas, and I've been through Kansas as well. But these buildings, and I've thought about this since we've had this exhibit up, and I've been researching this book a little bit. I haven't had a chance to read it yet.
Yeah.
But what I'm gathering is poverty actually, like a lot of these images I take, is around us. It's across the street. It's down the road. It's in our society, and we don't even notice it. We drive right by it. It becomes part of the scenery. It's just part of our daily routine, and we don't give it a second thought.
Right.
And I'm sure people that have experienced poverty like this, and this has really got me thinking.
Right.
Sometimes I wonder if they don't feel like these buildings. They're out there doing everything they can do. Maybe they once had a great career, or they had a nice house, or they had a good family, and circumstances of life changed, and now they don't, and
Right.
they're still out there functioning, or they're still out there, but people aren't paying attention to it. And that's what a lot of these buildings are. They really don't serve much of a purpose. They're not housing anything anymore, but they're still there. And I think sometimes they're there to remind us of that.
Right. Yeah, and I 100% agree. It's just that aspect of, yes, this is something you see every day. I live in Northwest Ohio as well, and you see these buildings, these dilapidated barns, and just thinking about, the farming culture and how farmers have sold off their fields because they can't afford to,
Right.
survive on it anymore. And like you said, it really makes you think, and that was my main goal with this exhibit, is to bring awareness that this is all around us. Poverty comes in so many different forms, and just starting a conversation too, that this is a real thing. What actions can we take to make this happen? And I think your photographs really bring that to life as well. Just seeing, just your story that, yeah, this person is barely surviving. Like they're living in this house. So what does that mean? How are they growing, and how can they get out of this, or will they ever get out of it? And what can we do on our part to help them out? Is like, it's it's a really big issue, and it's depressing, unfortunately, but needs to be talked about.
Right. And I didn't know when I started this that it would become this. It's something I think I told you this when I was dropping off my work, that I have to continue. I have to go farther and farther away from Findlay,
Right.
because I've covered a lot of territory. And and the other thing too, and I think is I people have said I should do it, and I don't always do it. I don't always mark these locations.
Right.
So they're out there. And every now and then I will be driving down the road, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I did that. I remember I was here a couple years ago.
Yeah. Right.
So that happens, but I probably couldn't take you back to 80% of these places if I had to, but they're there. And you have to, it's not just Ohio, it's every state in the union. It's cities. We haven't even talked about cities,
Right.
Detroit to even Findlay and Toledo, and a lot of these places. It's the same thing.
Right. So would you say that this has inspired you to go further with this kind of topic of, capturing these abandoned buildings, starting that conversation of, okay, these people are impoverished. Why are they impoverished? What can we do to help? Do you think that has inspired to continue future work, or has it just made you kind of think a little bit?
It's made me think a lot, actually, because
Yeah.
there were a few times, though, because I've probably been on this project now, oh gosh, maybe 4 years now, off and
Wow.
on.
Yeah.
And there was a few times I've been out, and I'm like, what am I doing? It's another barn, big deal. There's 1,000 of these. Everybody's seen them.
Right.
But each one has these structures and that have character, and they're not all barns. There's vehicles that have been abandoned. There's
Right.
farm implements that have been abandoned or whatever.
Right.
And I guess the one thing where I would like to take it is I'd be interested to see or hear from people when they look at an image. What's your story? What do you
Right.
think? What happened? It's a house, for example. What happened to this family?
Right.
What caused them to walk away from? And some of these houses are magnificent old houses. They must have been
Right.
just beautiful when they were built.
Right.
What happened? What causes someone or a family to walk away?
Right.
And I'd be interested to see and hear other people's stories or what they think or how they feel about it.
Right.
Because I think everybody views the world differently. We view it through our own eyes, our own perspective, our own experiences lend that to how we view the world. So if I took it the next step, it would be something like that. It would start to involve other people and their perspective, enhancing what I see from my perspective.
Right. So I agree with your thought process. That is a beautiful way to grow your artwork and to add on to it. And I feel like you've started already being in this exhibit. We've had multiple guests come in and they have kind of related their experiences. They're just like, yeah, I remember when my family could barely afford to live in a house and what a house means to me. And my experiences of what a house looks like, how my friends in school had a nicer looking house than I did. Like, theirs was huge, or how we live in an apartment versus, my friend lives in a McMansion essentially.
Sure.
And I really think that's a beautiful way to take your artwork, is engaging the viewer and saying, well, what do you think about this? Like, I have these questions, and what's your experience? And how did you get out of that experience? Essentially, if you were impoverished, what have you done? Do you need any help? And just, I think really engaging the community that way is a beautiful way to go about this.
Thank you. Well, I'll just be flat out honest about it. We were homeless when I was growing up. Another family took us in, and so myself, my sister, and my brother, who was not even born at the time yet. My mother was pregnant at the time.
Oh, wow.
This has been many, many, many years ago. And so we did live with another family. Yeah. And then I remember we had a house. It was 3 rooms. I had a front room, which had what is like a pull-out sofa, a bed to pull out, and that's where my mom slept. The middle was the kitchen. And the back room, we had bunk beds for myself and my sister. I'm the oldest. And then there was a crib there because my brother had been born. He's the youngest.
Right.
We had one of those aluminum showers, right?
Yes.
And I remember, and we had a bathroom and if you were sitting on the stool, your knees would almost touch the wall. And that was our house.
Yeah.
But at that time when I was young and stuff, you didn't know. You had a roof. You had a house, right?
Right.
But I do remember walking to school. And there was there was one particular street that I would walk down that had beautiful houses, and I would look at them and say, "Well, that's how rich people live." I want to be rich. I want to be that. Right. Over the years, I found out that the house does not make you a rich person.
So true. But
growing up, and we all take things with us through our life that maybe we encountered as children or whatever. I spent a lot of years thinking, boy, I want that. I want that big house, and I want that. And I finally realized, and I have the things I want. Mm-hmm. I don't have a big house because I must not have really wanted one, or else I have one.
Exactly.
As simple as that sounds. And I'm not so sure that subconsciously or whatever, some of that doesn't work its way into some of the things I do. Right. I'm not one to dwell on my past. I worked. I did the things I needed to do to survive, to better myself, to take care of my family. And I'm quite happy with where I'm at. So if that work, though, lends itself to maybe helping other people or helping them work through this, like, wow, I came from that too. Right. Then great. I think that's too one of the reasons I like to work in black and white.
Yes.
Is it's more, to me, it's more interpretive.
Mhm.
Color is, someone stated it, and I wish I can't remember who it is, so I can't credit them for the quote. But they said color was representation and black and white was interpretation.
Yes.
And I've always kind of just liked that. And I do tend to work probably 95% in black and white. If I do something in color, I'm even shocked.
Right.
I don't do a lot of flowers, obviously.
Right.
So, but yeah, if it causes people to think, that's great.
Right. Oh, and I appreciate you telling that story because that's something I'm discovering as well, that people coming to this exhibit are kind of realizing they're like, wow, I was in this place at one point. Either, I couldn't afford clothing
Mhm.
or I couldn't afford to do something, couldn't afford a house. And it's been really amazing that they have this realization because then they can relate to these people who are stuck, or they feel like they're stuck, or they're impoverished and they feel like they can't get out. And just having that relationship and realizing that this exists and I was able to get out, so now I can do something about it or
Mhm.
help someone who is stuck in this position. I think your artwork is a great way to encourage that. And telling your story, your personal story, I really appreciate that. And um, just having a way to relate with the public and people who are stuck in this situation truly is the first step to breaking that barrier down of,
Mhm.
yes, this is a real thing, this is not something that doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
It is still a major problem, and we need to do what we can to end it. And there are little things people can do. You can donate. It doesn't have to be a large amount of money. It could be donating clothes, food, some extra canned food that you have. Anything little helps. And
Mhm.
that's what I was hoping to have with this exhibit. And your artwork really does lend a hand to that conversation. So thank you for that.
No, thank you. And I think too, and I was, like I said, I've read some excerpts from the book. I haven't read it yet. I got to, full disclosure.
Oh,
I've
fine.
had a lot going on, but I am going to read the book. It sounds very interesting. What I've
Yes,
picked up so far. I, Poverty does not equate lazy.
exactly.
And I think that's the other thing. And when I look at these images of these structures and things, and it could be industrial structures,
Right.
farm equipment. This is not the product of someone being lazy. These were in production. These were in use. These were harvesting or manufacturing or housing a family that obviously that worked. And I think we have to think about that um, just because you're stuck in this cycle of poverty doesn't necessarily mean you're lazy.
Exactly.
Because I think you go through. I've been through a lot of little towns and a lot of big towns and stuff, and you'll see some areas that are run down, and you'll see some areas, some houses and things that you think, wow, and that person, they might be working two jobs,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And again, those are the things I don't photograph. If I was to take that on, it would have to be I would have to develop a relationship with a couple of families or something, and it would be more of a documentary style type thing that
Right.
this is their life, and do I need to be there 5 a.m. when they're getting up and making their coffee and stuff to go to their first job
Right.
that might only pay $8-9 an hour, and then and they work and they can't make a living wage, so they have to work two jobs.
Right.
So I hope that not just my artwork alone, but I can see some of the other works on the walls behind you that people think about that as well.
Right.
That poverty does not mean everybody's lazy.
Exactly. Beautiful. Thank you, Ken. It's so true. Just breaking that stereotype. Oh, you're lazy. You need government assistance. That's why you're impoverished. And just
Right.
breaking that stereotype and saying, no, this is a real thing. It can happen to anyone. Truly.
Yeah, I think, and it does. I think we saw that in was it 2008?
Oh, yes.
With the housing crash and stuff. And now, I'll be 60 in April. I mean, I that's pretty vivid to me. And uh, quote unquote successful people lost a lot of things, or
Yep.
a major illness or something that exhausts your savings because your health insurance doesn't cover it or something.
Right.
Sometimes and we don't like to think about that. We all don't like to think that we're maybe just one slip and fall away from economic ruin.
Right.
But it is a possibility, and it does happen.
Yes. So true. Thank you so much, Kent. I really appreciate having this conversation with you. Did you have any other comments you wanted to make about your artwork, or make any plugs about, I know you're part of the Findlay Art League and you've got some exciting stuff going on there.
Yeah, they do. If the Findlay Art League, first of all, is it's a wonderful kind of, sometimes I don't know if it's known well enough in Findlay and the surrounding area, but I encourage people to take the time and go down and at least visit the gallery and look at the art, and because there's an exhibit every month. There's something going on. We just finished up the photo show. A lot of interesting work. Right now, there's a mixed media show going on, and I think there's going to be a textile show coming up in the future.
Wonderful.
And I think people need to understand how art can help society. It can start conversation.
Yes.
And there's a part of me that, and I'm not going to use the vulgar term, but sometimes I like it when art ticks people off because it makes them think, right? Because you walk away from a piece and maybe there's something upsetting about it. And I like pushing people's buttons sometimes. I don't do it enough. I do actually. I'm quite good at it actually. So when people do create art and put something out there, sometimes I like the provocative. I think it should make people think. That being said, I like the Van Goghs and I like the Field of Flowers and different things, because that has a reasoning and a purpose as well.
Yes.
I don't think everything doesn't have to be related to activism, but art can be used as activism. And I know Carol and Phil Sugden are working a lot with Cuban artists and art as activism. So I encourage people watching this that don't just look at art for art's sake, but look at it for what it's representing and what kind of conversations it can cause in your family and or in your friends, or even cause you to think when you're driving down the road like me by myself and go, wow, that'd make a great picture. And maybe it's just something that simple. And I think we can use the Art League to promote other artists and other artwork as well. And I think people need to understand that artists are everywhere.
Yes.
We're not all crazy. We don't all, we do,
Right.
we do a lot, we have jobs a lot of times, and, and we're not quite as bohemian maybe as people might think we are. And when you do take art like this and tie it into something as serious as poverty, it brings a whole new dimension to the aspect of art and what does it represent.
Thank you so much, Kent, for joining us. And we really appreciate you discussing your life story and your artwork. And again, we are so happy to have your artwork display at the Walter E. Terhune Art Gallery. We are also doing our part to help end poverty. We have selected, along with the artists and the author, a few charities that we are promoting and encouraging donations to. So you can go to the Walter E. Terhune Art Gallery website. I will also post a link for this video as well. You can go to that website and that'll link you directly to these charities and organizations that we're trying to help support, that their main goal is to help end poverty. So thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you so much again, Kent, for your story and your discussion about your artwork.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.